Okay, so today we are starting 9-6. I told you there's a chance that I won't be here tomorrow, so if I'm not here tomorrow, I wanted to be able to teach you this lesson in person. I may be here tomorrow, but I might not. Just in case, we're going to go ahead and cover what is one of the most important sections that we will cover for the year, and that is learning how to use the quadratic formula and the discriminant, which is part of the quadratic formula, to solve quadratic equations. Okay? The quadratic formula is the only method, so it's just the quadratic formula here. So we're gonna kind of tweak that a little bit because it looks like the quadratic formula and the discriminant are ways to solve, but the discriminant is part of the quadratic formula. So this word I keep saying here is discriminant. Oh, my board's not working yet. So this is part of the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is the only method which allows us to solve any quadratic equation. So let's go ahead and add something here. So we're going to add the quadratic, and we'll abbreviate it. Formula is, so add that in your notes. All right. The quadratic formula is the only method which allows you to solve any quadratic equation. We've discussed this a lot. We've used this a lot. What are the possible number of solutions for a quadratic equation? How many solutions can it have? It can have 2, none, and 1. That's exactly right. 1 solution, 2 solution, or no solution. Remember, no solutions does not mean 0, right? We could say 0 solutions, I guess, but that gets confusing. We want to think of it as no solution because 0 actually can be a solution for a quadratic equation. So we want to kind of keep that word out when we're talking about what are the possible numbers of solutions. So I need you guys to stretch the arrow here. So I need you to go ahead and stretch out that arrow. And I need you to write this in your notes under the word discriminant. Because it's not the square root. That's a little bit confusing, I think. So the discriminant is the part that's under the square root symbol. We do not take the square root of it. Alright? The discriminant is part of the quadratic formula. We're going to talk about that part first. So let's go ahead and talk about the discriminant tells how many solutions there are. Hey, do you have a pencil, honey? You may not need a pencil, but I need to get a pencil because sometimes I mess up and I have to make you erase me. Give you a pencil. All right, so if we find our A, B, and C and we plug it into just this part of the quadratic formula, we can tell if there's a solution to this quadratic formula, or equation rather. If the discriminant is positive, let's underline positive, there are 2 solutions. 0, there is one solution. And if the discriminant is a negative number, after you simplify it, there are no solutions. So what the heck does that mean? We're gonna tell the next that first example, we're gonna use the discriminant to find how many solutions there are to this quadratic equation. So we're gonna write how many solutions? Question mark. That's what we're gonna do here. We're not gonna solve this. We're gonna find out how many solutions there are. And we're going to use the discriminant. So the discriminant is c squared minus 4 times a times c. And notice I did not put a square root there. So before we can use this we need the a, the b, and the c from this quadratic equation. And remember, we can only find the a, b, and c if this quadratic equation is in standard form. Is this quadratic equation in standard form? What do you think, Lee? Yes. It is. You're exactly right. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, or x squared plus dx plus c equals 0, so this one is. So what is our a? Very good. What is our b? What kind of 2? Negative 2. No x's going here, right? And what is our c? Negative 35. That's right. That's important. So now we plug into the formula for the discriminant. So b is negative 2. So it's negative 2 squared minus always a 4 times whatever our a is times whatever our c is. And you can do this on your calculator. So I'm going to show you doing your calculator. If you don't have a calculator, you just get one now. Anybody that doesn't have a calculator? There needs to be one that we use in class because that's the one you can use in any course exam. So if you do this on your calculator, we're going to use 2 positive negative buttons, x squared button, minus 4 times 1 times 35, positive negative button, and then the equals button. What do you get? What'd you get, Jaden? Well, go get one, baby. You gotta get one because everything we're doing is on the calculator today. I want you to practice using the calculator, all right? That's okay. Use, but nobody sits in seat 24. You can just use seat 24 if you're using it, okay? Did anybody do it? Fatima, what are you doing, honey? No. Go ahead and close that up, okay, honey? Can't do that now. We'll close it all the way up. Anybody do it already? What'd you get, Shanicia? Danielle? What'd you get, Akira? Lee? 128. What'd you get, Anson? Okay, try it again, Lee. 2 positive and negative buttons, then the x squared button, minus button 4, times button 1, times 35, positive negative button, equals button. What'd you get? Did you minus 4? Okay. $144. Oh, I thought you said 128. My bad. I totally thought you said something else. So it's 144. Now, the answer is not 144, right? The discriminant equals 144, but what is the answer to this question? How many solutions are there to this quadratic equation? 2. Because 144 is a positive number, number means there are two solutions. Okay. So, if the discriminant was a negative number, there'd be no solution, right? If this were negative 44, there'd be no solution. If when we plugged all this in, it equals 0, there'd be one solution. But none of these are the actual solutions to the quadratic equation. Any questions on the discriminant? Okay. I will tell you the most common mistake is kids do this and then they take the square root, and that's not it, right? Sometimes the question is going to be give the value of the discriminant and tell how many solutions there are, right? So this is the value of the discriminant, and there are two solutions. Does that make sense, Maya? Okay. So now we're going to find the quadratic formula on the reference sheet I gave you, and I know there's a few of you that don't have a copy. I'll give it to you at the end. But the quadratic formula, just like on the front of your thing, is x equals the opposite of b plus n minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. Okay? So the very first thing you want to do to use this formula to solve a quadratic equation is make sure that the quadratic equation is in standard form first. If it's already in standard form, then we can just go to step 2. That means everything needs to be on the left, and the right needs to be equal to 0, right? Everything needs to be on the left, and the right side needs to be 0. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to identify our A, B, and C. We've been doing that a lot lately. Most of you are getting pretty good at that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to substitute. That also means plug in, right? You substitute something, you plug in or values into the quadratic formula. So you'll see the quadratic formula that I wrote on the board. There's numbers and the letters A, B, and C. So everywhere there's an A, you plug in what we said what A, what you identified A as. Everywhere there's a B, you plug in the value that you said the B was. Same with C. Next thing we're going to do is simplify. And then we're going to write our answer in set notation, or that just means they're set squiggly. So these are the set notation. If there is no solution, you don't have to put that in set squiggly. You can just write no solution. Okay. Y'all caught up with me? So this is our first example, and the directions here are going to be solved. And we're going to solve using the quadratic equation. Now, on your test for this unit, this chapter, this test is going to test you on everything we've learned so far in Chapter 9, all the Chapter 9 parts. 9.2, 9.1 through 9.4, and then all of it together. So you'll be asked to solve a quadratic equation using the square root. You'll be asked to solve a quadratic equation by factoring. You'll be asked to solve a quadratic equation by completing the square. Okay? So if you're asked to solve a quadratic equation that way on the test, then to get full credit for that question, you have to solve it using that strategy. How does that work? If you can't remember one of the strategies, you could always use the quadratic formula, and if you get the answer right, I'll at least give you a point or two. Does that make sense? I'm trying to encourage you to learn this strategy. This strategy only requires you being able to write in standard form, identify what A, B, and C is, and it will plug into a formula and plug it into the calculator. That's it. You don't have to do any other math. Okay? So here, who can tell me what to do to get this in standard form? Don't blurt out. What should we do to get this in standard form? What do you think, Naya? Okay, so we want it to be, remember we want it to be ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So what's in the wrong spot? What's in the spot that should be 0? 4. So how can we move 4 to the other side? Add or subtract it. So let's see. If I add 4, 4 plus 4 is 8. Does that give me a 0? No. Yeah. If I subtract 4, that does give me a 0. So if I subtract 4 from this side, I'm going to subtract it from this side. And now I have a quadratic equation in standard form. Now I should be able to identify the A, the B, and the C. So that's step 2 in our steps. What is our A? Jaden, what's our A? Good. Jason, what's our B? So here's B. What's B next to? What kind of 8? Negative 8. And what is our C, Anson? Perfect. So now we have it in standard form. We identified our A, B, and C. Now we're going to plug into this formula, right? So x equals the opposite of B. What is B? Negative 8, right? So look up here. Negative 8. Looking at your formula, and the formula that I have it on the board, plus and minus goes next. You're just copying that part. Go ahead and copy a big square root. So the next thing you'll see here is our b squared, right? So parentheses, and we'll put the negative 8 squared, right? It's always minus 4, just like in the formula. That minus 4 is always there under the radical, times A, 15, times C, negative 4. So b squared, negative 8 squared, minus 4 times A, that's 15, times C is negative 4. You with me? All divided by 2 times A. What is A? 15. So now this is our substitution or plug-in step. From here we go to simplify step, and get a little leeway here. I'm going to show you the way I think is the easiest. And when I think you should just stop and use the calculator. So I'm going to say when we simplify, let's simplify this. What's the opposite of negative 8? Positive 8. Right? Plus and minus. Go ahead and write that. Go ahead and write your square root. Now I say we do this with our calculator now. So use your calculator. 8, negative button. So use your calculator to simplify this. And that's going to be 8, positive negative button, x squared minus 4 times 15 times 4, positive negative button, and equals. Tell me what you get. Everybody should be trying this because it's part of the battle, especially a big part of the battle on these, just being able to plug it into the formula correctly. What did you get, Kendall? What did you get, Fatima? Did you get it yet, Maya? What did you get, 3 or 4? What did you get, all right? 3 or 4. Did you do it, Tunisia? Akira, you do it? 304. Jaden, you do it? 304. 304 is correct. All right. If that were a negative 304, we'd be to stop. Because this is a discriminant, and there would be no solution here. If that's a positive 304, how many solutions are there going to be to this quadratic equation? 2, because it's a positive number. But now we're not simplifying. Now, by 30. Most of these are going to tell you, they're going to say round to the hundredth place if necessary. To be honest, it's never necessary to round because we can always give our answer. Can you see go put your phone on my desk? You cannot be on it in class. Certainly not when we're having a lesson. Okay. So we are going to approximate it. If we wanted to give an exact answer, we have to simplify this radical. You don't really know how to do that. That's the next thing we're going to do in here, right? So we've got practiced that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take on our calculator 304 and hit the square root button. 304 and then the square root button. What do you get? 17.4. Not right. 17.4355 and goes on after that, right? Dot, dot, dot. So our directions on this assignment tell us to write the hundredth place, so that's this one. The second place to the right of the decimal. So we look here. So now we know that we're going to round this square root of 304 to 17.44. So a shortcut way is just to kind of scratch it and now put 17.44. Now we're going to kind of get ourselves organized. It's 8 plus and minus 17.44. We've already taken the square root, right? Divided by 30. So now we get to write two equations using 1 plus and 1 minus there, right? So x equals 8 plus 17.44 divided by 30, and x equals 8 minus 17.44 divided by 30. Any questions on how we got here? So if you divide, if you do on your calculator straight across 8 plus 17.44, hit the equals button, then divide by 30. On your calculator, you're going to get 0.848, but we're rounding to the hundredth place to 0.85. You guys try this one. 8 minus 17.44 equals divided by 30 and see what you get. Everybody's going to be practicing using a calculator. Use a calculator. Is that emergency? Okay. Kenna, what'd you get? Let's try again. So 8, here I'll tell you exactly right what to type in on the calculator. You ready? Some of you have it right, and a few of you I saw didn't. So it's going to be 8 minus 17.44. Don't forget to hit the equals button. Divided by button. 30, and the equals button again. Some of you got it right. Should be negative, and it's less than 1. I saw quite a few people that got it right, but I saw a good smattering that didn't. So try consumer. 8 minus 17.44 equals, divided by 30 equals. Is that the right thing? Yes. All right. So 8 minus 17.44 equals, divide by 30 equals. Okay? What do you know what you were doing? What were you doing differently? Okay. So it says negative 3.1466. So we're going to round that to negative 0.31466. So we're going to round that to negative 0.31. So what you got, Annabelle? Good. So there was a 4 after that on our calculator. So that means we don't change this. So then the last thing we do is we write it in set notation. So our answer any questions? We're going to move pretty quick to the next two examples. And actually, maybe we'll do the last example, but the last example is a little bit different. Do you have your missing? Yes. Okay. We're going to skip to the last example, and then we'll go back to the next one if we have time. So let's do this one first. Already in standard form, I'm going to pop through it kind of quickly. I go ahead and you guys find out what your A, your B, and your C is. What's your A? A is 1, right? So A goes to the x squared. What's our B? And our C? Positive 5. We're going to plug it into the formula. When you have the formula on your green sheet, did everybody locate the quadratic formula on the green reference sheet? This is a reference sheet you're going to get to use on the EOC. I'm going to use it on the test for this unit. So we're going to plug in x equals the opposite of b plus and minus the square root of b squared, negative 3 squared, always minus 4 times a, our a is 1, times c, our c is 5. All divided by 2 times a, which is 1. Y'all with me? Okay, so our next step, so it was already in standard form, we identified A, B, and C, we plugged in, and now we're going to simplify. Opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. And we're going to put that over 2. We're going to do this with our calculator real quick. So negative 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5. You should find that that is negative 11. Is that what y'all got? Do you have negative 11? No, you're supposed to use the calculator when I ask you to use the calculator. Pass the battle here, honey. Did you get negative 11 down? Negative 11, Annabelle? So negative 3 squared is 3, negative button x squared minus 4 times 1 times 5. Which is 9 minus 20, which is negative 11. Can negative 11 be under the radical? Can negative 11 be under a radical? No. So it's no solution. We do not have to continue after that. Real quickly, I'm going to show you at least how to put example 3 into standard form that you probably already have time for. So normally it's our constant over here. It doesn't matter what's over here. This is supposed to be 0. So we're going to do whatever we need to this side to get it to 0. What we need to do here is subtract 15w. So when you do, standard form is 25W squared minus 15W plus 2 equals 0. So we find our A, our B, and our C. A, our B, and our C. And then we would plug in 1017. It's going to be hard to finish that one. Because I got already, we've already done one like that one from there, okay? Any questions? Did you finish? You can come see me in the middle building now if you want to finish it there. I love sitting there. So I may be here tomorrow. Not sure. But business as usual. You have things to do if I'm not here. The lessons, it's up to you what your lesson plans. You'll also be able to find them in Canvas just like normal on the home page. It'll tell you what to do.